There's three collectors whose works are on the bags, and I was so lucky to have them to allow me to take pictures of work that they've collected from me in the past to be a part of this campaign. So Donna, if you could come forward, please.
And Will?
Donna actually is the owner of the original 6 Degrees of Separation. And her original painting is about 7 feet by 8 feet. It's a gigantic, beautiful painting, and takes her whole panel. So Donna, thank you.
Thank you.
For
I'm
being
very
here.
proud.
And I appreciate you.
Very proud.
Thank you. Leslie Davis, she left. She's a partner with Hinton, and she was the owner of Peacock, and this now is the oldest painting that I actually have in my collections, because she actually tells this story. Her husband convinced her to trade this in for a newer painting, but this was in 1999, and this was Peacock. It's a multi-dimensional painting with acrylic and canvas, but it just really speaks to our elegance and beauty as a people, but still speaking to nature. And then also the owner of Good Morning God is here. Suzanne recently purchased Good Morning God at the Black Caucus, and I was so thankful that she would allow me to share her painting with the rest of the world. So those all deserve a big round of applause for sharing your collection with the world. So first of all, I really want to say thank you, and I can't say it enough from the bottom of my heart how much it means to, if just by a show of hands, anyone who has an Andre Guichard, if you could raise your hand. There are so many people who have, really lived this support of their community and culture, and just not my work, many of the other artists that we represented. There's so many of you who supported this gallery and who supported me. So to have you here at my first solo exhibition in 15 years, the last time I did a solo was in Philadelphia at Art Jazz Gallery. And since then, I've been doing a combination of painting, being a part of group shows, organizing, and fulfilling what I feel part of my mission is to also to help other artists to expose themselves and expose their work. But when the opportunity around the Walgreens bag and all these things started happening, I challenged myself to really go back in time to just be a studio artist. And I have to thank my wife again for allowing me to be a studio artist, because that means a lot of the things that I normally would just have to tend to during the whole day, she was helping with. And thank you for allowing me to do that. And what happened was 18-hour days, 24-hour days, just on and on and on has been my life, and it really has been wonderful. I have to admit, being an artist solely for a little while is great. You don't sleep a lot. You are kind of unhealthy because you're breathing a lot of fumes and you're doing a lot of things, but it is just great. So this exhibit, 40 pieces, really touches on about 10 different series that I've worked on in the last 20 years. And some of the series that I've elaborated on are the series that really mean a lot to me in terms of my life personally and things I've seen and experienced, and all of you as collectors, how you have affected me, because as artists, that's really who we are. We're just people who are expressing what it is we see, we feel, and we think is important, so that you as collectors can capture these moments in this history, because art meets life. So one series on this north wall here that really speaks to me is a deeply rooted series. And it's really important because we all know African Americans have the highest rate of divorce. Why is that? Nobody knows, but it's a fact. And I believe we don't talk about relationships and love enough. Art is a conversation piece. Why not have the conversation be about marriage, relationships, and love that you're having, that we're having, versus having individual conversations where the men talk and the women talk, but we're not always talking about one. And if you really look at the base of those paintings, there's a exaggerated root. And the root is a root of a hibiscus tree. And a hibiscus tree in its nature is a tree that are two trees that braid and intertwine and become one. That's what marriage is, and that's what relationships are. But I think it's so easy for us to get tired of something and walk away from something versus digging down and helping those roots grow and nourish. So this is a painting, and this first painting really deals with the beginning of a relationship where we're not so sure about this oneness, and becoming one is part of the fight. But if those roots are good and strong and run deep, we can weather the storm. And that is really the basis of this series and what it is expressing. So it's kind of where I look at nature and I think all things in nature are perfect. The colors are perfect. It's, you can look at trees sometimes and just start seeing images and forms and bodies. So this is an expression of where nature meets love and the power of marriage and the power of us building our families, because as you look at the extremities, the blossoms speak to the dreams and aspirations that we might have as a couple, whether it's children or it's businesses or it's all of your dreams and aspirations as a unit. And that's really what that series is expressing and talking about. On the third floor, there's a jazz series, and that jazz series really was a series that is probably one of my longest running series, and it was inspired by my grandfather, Alfred Guichard Sr. He was a famous jazz musician in New Orleans in the early 30s, played live for the radio, migrated to St. Louis, and actually was featured in Eddie Randall and the Blue Devils, the same band Miles Davis started and was featured in. And I found this out looking through a book, Black Beauty, White Heat, and I ran across my grandfather. And it was at the same time I was struggling with, wow, do I want to do this art thing full time? It's really a struggle. It's a lot of pain in it. Why do I want to do this? Why don't I want to just have a job? And I was questioning myself, why don't I just want to have a job? This is hard. But I loved it, but it was that balance of the golden handcuffs and jumping out on a leap of faith. And I read my grandfather's story in this book. Now, my dad had always talked about my grandfather, but it told me and spoke to me in a way about why if you have a passion for something, you have to stay with it. And people who are passionate about things live their life with passion. And I would never question that again in terms of why I made that choice, and I believe in it. So those are two series, but there are many others that are here. And I invite you to talk to me, talk to Francis, talk to many of the collectors that are here that live with art. And I'd like to inspire you, if not today, at some time, if you haven't collected original art and you don't live with original art yet, you have to, because a life without original art is a life without living. So thank you for being here. Have a wonderful